We're ready? Okay, thank you. Tonight's the regular meeting of council, January 21st, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. And I confirm we have quorum here. The mayor and council wish to acknowledge the town of Fort Smith is located within Treaty 8 territory. Treaty 8 territory also encompasses the traditional homelands of the Salt River First Nation, Smith Landing First Nation, and the indigenous Métis people of Fort Smith. These nations have maintained stewardship of their sacred lands and throughout the generations. We honor your knowledge, teachings, traditions, and the land, and we are mindful that colonization has not been kind. We respectfully recognize our generational histories and commit to strive for unity in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. If I could have someone move the agenda.
I'll move the agenda be adopted as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, all right. Adam, is there any additions or adjusts? Councilor?
Yeah, I'd like to add a motion, I'm not exactly what section it should go under, about changing the starting times of our standing committee meetings.
Ooh,
Admin?
Would that go under admin?
yeah,
We can put it under administration.
okay.
I thought they were under date of next council meeting, so maybe
Oh,
there.
all right, so administration number 3, date of the next meeting, okay. Anything else to add or adjust? Okay, you guys are in favor of those changes as amended? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the agenda has been adopted as amended. So we have our delegation here today with us, and I'll just hand the floor over to you and you can go right ahead.
Okay, so for the policing report for the month of December, Fort Smith RCMP detachment responded to a total of 143 calls for service in the town of Fort Smith during the month of December 2024. Under the community action plan, priority initiatives were road safety, reconciliation, community engagement, and harm reduction. This month, the detachment has addressed the issue of road safety by, this initiative is enforcement-based, focusing on road safety through targeted enforcement activities, check stops, vehicle stops, and licensing establishments, and also investigating complaints made by members of the public. Police received 1 report of a possible impaired driver from members of the public during the month of December. Police conducted 3 targeted enforcement actions over the month. Targeted enforcement includes monitoring intersections for violations, conducting radar enforcement in reduced speed zones, and monitoring vehicles leaving local liquor establishments and check stops. Community assisted the priority by reporting suspected impaired drivers to the RCMP. This month, the detachment addressed the issue of reconciliation and community engagement by the initiative is focused on building and strengthening relationship with our Indigenous communities. This will be done through activities focused on reconciliation and involvement with youth activities. We are actively seeking input from our community partners on how we can better interact with youth and the community in general, and also what activities can be undertaken in the spirit of reconciliation. So on December 9th, Constable Jesse Woodworth participated in a youth dinner with Uncle Gabe's and On the Land program. On December 13th, Constable Jesse Woodward handed out gifts with Santa for 2 children at the Métis daycare. On December 14th, Constable Jesse Woodward participated in a youth dinner at the Tabashka campground. And on December 15th, Constable Rhett Kleeman participated in the Anglican Church play. And on December 16th, Constable Jesse Woodward handed out gifts with Santa at 2 children at the town daycare. On December 16th, Constable Rhett Kleeman participated in reading at the Anglican Church. On December 18th, Constable Jesse Woodward participated in the JBT Christmas event and made pancakes with other emergency service personnel. On December 19th, Constable Rhett Kleeman participated in the Teachers Win in the annual teacher-student hockey game. On December 21st, Constable Woodward handed out food hampers with the Pentecostal Church. And on December 24th, Constable Kleeman assisted with the Anglican Church Christmas dinner. On December 24th, Constable Kleeman assisted with Anglican Church food donations to the women's shelter. And on December 24th, Constable Kleeman and Constable Alex Ostella handed out presents to local children for Toys for Tots. This month, the detachment addressed the issues of harm reduction by the initiative was focused by reducing crime by doing regular compliance checks on repeat offenders, proactively seeking individuals who are wanted, making presentations at the school or in the community on various topics. Various topics investigating drug dealers or bootleggers. Members have done compliance checks on repeat high-risk offenders. Notable occurrences for the month. Fort Smith Detachment responded to 9 calls for service under the Mental Health Act. These types of compliances are very time sensitive and require immediate attention as to mitigating any potential harm. It is typically results of the RCP apprehending individuals and escorting them to the hospital for assessment by professionals. I'd like to actually speak a little more on that when I'm done. Occurrences, assaults not including sexual assaults. The current month 21, year to date 237. Current month of previous year were 16 for a previous year total of 188, so we're up quite a bit on that. Sexual offenses, 1 in the current month, 21 year to date. Current month of previous year is 1, and previous year's total was 14, so that's up as well. Break and enters, residents and businesses, 1 for the current month, 19 year to date. Current month of previous year was 2, and the previous year total was 20, so we're fairly even with last year. Theft of motor vehicles were 0 for the month, 17 year to date. Current month, the previous year were 3, with a total of 15 for the previous year. So we're slightly higher than that, but still not too bad. Thefts under 5,000, 5 for the current month, 76 year to date, 3 in the previous year, and 59 in total. So that's up a fair amount. Theft over 5,000 is 0 this month and 0 year to date. Current month of the previous year was 0 for a total of 3 last year. So we're doing quite well there. Drug possession, 2 in the current month, 9 year to date, 0 in the current month of previous year, and 3 for a year for the total of last year. So we're not we're about the same as last year. Drug trafficking, 4 for the current month, 59 year to date. Current month previous year were 3, and previous year total was 18, so we're up significantly on that. Liquor Act, 6 for the month, year to date was 87. 5 for the current month, previous year was there for them, and then previous year total was 45, so that's up as well. Unlawful sale of bootlegging, 0 for the month 1 in the year to date, and 0 last year, and 0 the previous month of last year. Causing a disturbance mischief totals, 40 for the current month, 518 year to date, 29 in the current month of the previous year, for a total of 495 in the previous year, so up slightly this year. Causing of a disturbance, 5 in the current month, year to date 91, current month of previous year are 5. Previous year totals are 119, so we're down slightly there. Mischief damage to property is 4 for the current month, 56 year to date, 5 for the previous year's month, and 61 total at that time, so we're slightly lower. Mischief, obstructed enjoyment of property, 31 for the current month, 371 for year to date. Current month of previous year was 19 for a total previous year of 315, so we're up there as well. Impaired driving, current month 1, year to date 63, current month the previous year 9, previous year total 82, so we're down a reasonably decent amount for impaired drivers. Other complaints, a total of 44, year to date 534, current month of previous year 103 for previous year total of 1,502, so we're slightly higher this year. So total calls for service were 143 in 2004 and 130 in the previous month of last year, and for a total year end of 1,735. So reports to justice, victim services referral for the current month, year to date 24, current month of previous year 1, and previous year total 16. Victim services referral declined, 9 in the current month, 84 year-to-date. Current month of previous year was 9, and previous year's total was 133, so we're doing a little better there. Victim services proactive referral, 1 for the month, 9 year-to-date. Current month of previous year 1, and the previous year total is 5, so we're doing a little better in there as well. Victim services not available is 0 across the board. Restorative justice, there were 0 for the current month, 3 for year-to-date, 1 in the current month of previous year, and 3 for last year, so it's the same. Emergency protection orders, 0 for the month 18 year-to-date, current month last year was 0, and previous year was 6, so we've done quite a few more of those this year. ODERA reports, 3 for the current month, 34 year-to-date, current month of previous year 4, and previous year totals were 219. I'm sorry, for 57. ODERA reports will no longer exist after December. They're doing away with them.
What are ODERA reports?
It's basically it's an assessment of the risk of domestic violence in an ongoing, so it's a long form you fill out. There was actually 3 forms that we were filling out, and now that's been reduced to just 1 form. When somebody is arrested and charged, a copy of that goes to Crown and then is used by the judge to help you determine sentencing. And it just gives them an idea if the person's a prolific offender when it comes to domestic assaults or not. Prisoners held for the current month was 27. Year-to-date was 254. Current month of previous year was 18. Previous year total 219. Prisoners escorted was 0. Year-to-date 5. Current month of previous year was 0, and previous year total was 2. Prisoners held non-PROS agencies, current month 0, year-to-date 0, current month of previous year 0, and previous year total was 1. Prisoners escorted non-PROS agency are 0 across the board. Liquor destroyed immediately were 3 in the current month for a year-end total of 31, 0 current month the previous year, and a previous year's total of 12. Any questions on that?
You wanted to speak to something more?
I do. A couple of things. We had the health center has a secure room
Right.
that was renovated this past summer. There were some issues at the end of it, so it's not ready. We had, as you all know, a number of suicides in the community this late in the fall. We also had an individual caught in the process of trying to commit suicide. He was detained under the Mental Health Act, taken to the health center, and they don't have a secure room to keep him in. So their protocol, I guess, is to sedate and hold on while they're waiting to have him sent out to Yellowknife. Problem is that doesn't always work, and this is the second time in the last 18 months that that's happened, where the person gets up and walks out. We get a call that the person is gone, and in both cases, in the first case, which happened just around the time of the wildfires last year, we were able to find the person walking home. This time, members caught him in the act the second time. That's a real problem, because depending on when they notice the individual missing, and then we get the call, it depends on whether it's in normal working hours or if it's on call. The response can be anywhere for us from more than 5 or 6 minutes to maybe a half an hour, 35, 40 minutes. If they don't know if he's actually left the health center, then we have to spend time searching the health center. If he's not there, then we begin looking. And one of these times, we are not going to have enough time. We've complained about it, voiced our concerns. I don't know if, going to the MLA or having something done, but we need to address this. It's a problem, and it's somebody who's going to pay for it.
I can speak to the Bachelor Leadership Group, TLC, just met with the CEO of the health center on the 16th of January, and we
Okay.
brought up that concern specifically because we were under the impression that it should be soon, right? But it's actually not the Health and Social Services Control, it's Infrastructure who started this process and I guess did it incorrectly or whatever they are in that process. And we brought that up there, and so I will follow up in that avenue through
Yeah.
that group to put pressure on the folks
Yeah, because
responsible.
this is not a hypothetical.
No, this
This is gonna happen, I can pretty much guarantee it. And, you know, I don't wanna be the one who has to explain that to a family. That's not fair to us, and it's not fair to the family, and it's not fair to the nurses. You know, nobody has that control, so. That's the one thing, and the second thing is, all the members in the detachment will receive body camera training the first week of February. After that, there's notices that went up in town with all the languages in different spots that members will be worn body cameras. I haven't received the training yet. Not sure just exactly how that's all supposed to work for us, but once I'm aware of that next time around, I'll be able to explain to you how that works for us. And, but just so that you know that they're coming. And I think it's gonna be a really good thing. I think it's positive. So, other than that, unless anybody's got any questions,
Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
As you were reading all of the stats from year to date, last year to the year
Yes.
before,
Yeah.
most seem to have increased. I mean, some were pretty close to par, a few dropped, but most had increases and somewhat significant increases.
yeah.
I know it's hard to compare one year to the next, but compared to maybe longer range terms, like over the last 3 or 5 years, is crime or is that really increasing to the extent that this report seems to indicate? I guess.
can't
What are
answer-
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can't answer it tonight because I'd have to look
Yeah.
back on 5 years ago, which we have all the mayor's reports that go back, so I could do that fairly easy. Right offhand, I don't. I suspect it's higher, in all fairness.
Especially drugs trafficking, 59 compared to.
Well, you
That's 3 times, which is good. I mean, that's good.
yeah,
We're getting
and a lot of that, I believe, is because people are coming forward more. They're not saying anything and just looking away. They're actually reporting it. And that's where you get a lot of these occurrences that are coming up, that those are reports of people, so-and-so is dealing at that house and so-and-so is doing this.
Councilor Benoit?
I noticed that you have here unlawful sales of bootlegging, and the numbers are 0.
That's because people don't report that. That's really
Well, there's a
difficult.
house in this town that is a known bootleg place. and, yeah.
I get that, but it's somebody letting us know that, like, we know who's doing it. I won't say we don't know that. It's somebody reporting that they're seeing it taking place so that we can go and we can actually, we're resource limited.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, there is a new unit that you may have heard about been developed in Yellowknife that the territorial government has given money to, the crime reduction unit. That unit is being staffed as we speak. We're actually losing a member here to that unit in probably the 1st of April. That unit is going to be 2 members dedicated to the south districts and 2 members dedicated to the north, but they'll co-work as time needs. The biggest challenges you have in a detachment is we're general duty. So that sort of encompasses a little bit of everything. When you have to target specific aspects, bootleggers, drug dealers, stuff like that, I don't have the resources. And that's everything from manpower to undercover vehicles, surveillance, that type of thing. It's very difficult for GD members to do that because 1, they're known in the community, and 2, we don't have unmarked cars. So we're at a disadvantage. Those units, based on the input from the community through us, we will do the initial investigations and set up the initial process. The CRU units will then take that and they will do a targeted approach. When that happens, they will come in for a period of time, do the surveillance fairly quickly, do what they have to do, and then between them and ERT, we'll do a door kick and the general duty members will be back up and assist with transporting arrested people and any narcotics or bootleggers that they have. So that's going to be fully set up probably by May, June, and then they'll begin to work and it'll go from there. And that will be, I think, you're gonna see a big difference coming in through the summer into the fall and from there on in, because it's a dedicated unit. Then they have access to all the intel all around the territory and from Alberta. So basically you have somebody who's running drugs here, but they're also doing it in Fort Prov and they're doing it up to Fort Simpson. I don't know that. I only know what's happening here. They're collecting intelligence from all the communities, which is a bigger part of the bigger picture. So their primary goal is not to go after the guy who's selling it in Edmonton, it's to go after the people that are doing it here, which is what we need. It's, you know, it's great if you want to take the guy out in Edmonton, but that doesn't really stop us. It doesn't help us.
Did you have a?
Yeah, kind of building on the same sort of questions. What are the thresholds for the information that's useful for you? Like, you know, as somebody who's not a buyer, but maybe is, you know, seeing activity and that sort of thing. But I can't be like, I know this is.
Yeah, and that's where we can't. It's very difficult for ACT on someone who says, look, I see this is going on.
Right.
And I would be the first guy to admit that, look, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Right.
That's not enough to have a search warrant. And I know it's frustrating for the people who call it in because, yeah, I keep calling it in, but I don't see anything happen. It's just as frustrating to us because it doesn't quite meet the threshold of getting a warrant. We don't have the resources to you know, park somebody down the street and watch and what's going on. And we encourage people to report, but not put themselves in harm's way. That's why CRU was created, so that they can sort of work in conjunction with ERT and with us to be able to say, okay, we've targeted somebody, it's gonna be not a 6 month or an 8 month that we're watching. We're in and out in 4 or 5 days and on to the next project. So it's a system that works and works well. And so it should be really, really good when it comes through.
I'll go, Councilor Corbett.
Thank you for the presentation. Just looking at the stats, I'm wondering for the previous year numbers, it should almost be asterisked. Because I was looking at this, and a lot of our current month versus current month last year are fairly similar, except for the 2 mischief categories.
Yeah.
And then it's the year-to-date totals that seems to be a lot. Most of the jumps are for this current fiscal year, but when we look at reality for the previous totals for last year, on this report was a year that we were gone for almost 2 months.
Yeah, so there's stats. They you know, and a lot to change my stats is the number of people who call in. And if that drops off, like for that 2 months, 3 months, and everybody's out, that skews the numbers across the board. So you're quite right when you say if you can go back 4 or 5 years, look at, well, this is where we were. That's probably a more accurate description of what's happening. But having said that, at that time, the community probably wasn't as engaged in reporting it as they are today. So again, it skews the numbers a little bit. It isn't to say that it's technically higher or lower. It's the number of reports that we get that tell us what's happening. So the more the community gets involved, you start to see that go up. I don't think it's necessarily higher per se. I think we're just being more aware of what's going on.
Councilor Cox.
Thanks. Completely different topic altogether. Search and rescue.
Yep.
So my understanding is you guys are, well, not necessarily the boots on the ground, but the initial contact or the primary contact in the case of search and rescue.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah, depending. But I had a conversation the other day that there was a question of whether or not that's still the case or if there's something changing.
It's really not, we're not into search and rescue. We've sort of backed away. My understanding is the first response, again, depending on what it is the rescue, search and rescue in Yellowknife. And then they decide whether or not the military is called in, and then it just escalates from there. As far as on the ground, if it was something like the plane crash, we're generally the first people in there. Our primary goal is to just go in, assist other first responders, and then secure the scene. We don't, I guess most of the tools, we used to play a larger role, but that's been, they've been pulling us back from that.
You guys got enough to do,
Yeah.
for sure. But no changes that you're aware of?
Yeah, I don't think there's changes. I know that there's a new sergeant is gonna be in Yellowknife, dealing with search and rescue, but I don't know at this point what the capacity of that is gonna be, or how that's gonna unfold. If it's more or less liaising with other agencies to see if we can assist and wherever it is. It is difficult on the ground. We had a drowning in Fort Res when I was detachment commander there, and it was painfully excruciating to sit in your desk and have people come and ask you for stuff and tell them I can't do that. And you know, it's you want to help, but you know, it's just not something that we do. And there's a whole list of reasons were explained to me as to why we don't, but it still doesn't make it any easier because people look to us to do something, and sometimes there's not a lot at this level that we can do. So,
For sure. Thank you.
Councillor Bennett?
I know we talked about it before the camera came on, but there's community members who are wondering if you guys are going to be doing more patrolling with the wolves wandering around our community. I mean, it's not just one wolf, there are like a lot
yeah,
of...
and again, that would be something, would be parks that we would let deal, or ENR. They haven't reached out to us and asked us, and it's the normal policy would be we do not discharge our firearms within the community for reasons of public safety. That whole scenario can go bad really, really quick. So the types of weapons we have are not really conducive to that. But if there is a threat to life or a threat to the community, then yes, we would, if somebody called, we would take a run out, and if we seen it, we would dispatch it.
All right, anyone else? All right, thank you for your report, and thank you for your guys' awesome service. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on the agenda, I need someone to move the regular meeting from 12:24.
I move that the minutes from the regular meeting, 12-24 on December 17th, 2024, be adopted as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Good. Well, I'll move on to the next one. Or no, any business from the minutes? From the ones that we just passed? No? Okay. All right, going on then, I'll need someone to move the,
I move that council determine the following in relation to the call for resolutions for the NWTAC AGM, February 2025. 1, identify topics or priorities for resolutions. 2, work with administration to draft and finalize the resolutions. 3, submit and approve the approved resolutions by January 24th, 2025 deadline.
I'll second.
okay. All right, so discussion, just so you know, like those were the two copies. One was emailed to you earlier, the one that Mike, Deputy Mayor had done, and was looking just for some feed. The be it further resolved, we need some more input on there. And then the other one from Mike, Councilor Corbett, regarding NTPC. Did you want to speak to yours?
Okay, sure. During one of my rants over the last few weeks, I've been really going on about concerns about the overall operation at a senior management board of directors ministerial level of how the Power Corporation functions. It supposedly operates as a crown corporation. I don't know how you can have a crown corporation that is governed by a complete board of directors made of minister or deputy ministers, so it's basically servants of the minister running a crown corporation that provides what I refer, it's an essential and critical service to the residents of the NWT. And in the resolution, I don't know if you want me to read it out entirely or.
You can, because it wasn't submitted in the package.
Okay, for public consumption. So basically, it's titled NTPC Governance Model Reform. Whereas the supply of electrical power to the residents of the NWT is an essential service and serves as a key utility required for the survival of communities and is a powerful agent and critical in almost all aspects of life, including economic development, social well-being and stability, improvement of health and livelihoods. It must be considered a vital service and be recognized as a service like water, education, health services, and critical infrastructure such as roads and airports, and as such, is best delivered and managed by a government department accountable directly to the citizens of the NWT. Whereas the Northwest Territories Power Corporation has continued to demonstrate that under their current Crown Corporation model, their inability to provide affordable and reliable electric services to the customers in a cost-effective manner throughout the NWT. Therefore, it be resolved that the minister responsible for the NTPC, and by extension the government of the GNWT, take immediate steps to complete a comprehensive review of organizational structure and operational efficiencies review, as well as an assessment of the value for money evaluation of NTPC under its model of management. We should add under its current model of management. Further, be resolved that the review be undertaken by an independent party prior to any further significant management or operational reorganization and prior to approval of any pending rate increase applications to any regulating agency.
Any comments?
Well said.
Okay. All right. So are you guys in agreement that you want us to submit this on behalf of the town? Okay, so we,
I move that resolution titled NTPC Governance Model Reform be submitted to the NWTAC Annual General Meeting for consideration.
I'll second.
we're within a motion right now.
Oh, we are, yeah.
So it's, meaning that like, but it,
Yeah.
so we can actually table the one we have on, the or,
Well,
We can
I'll
close
just
this.
bring forward again after we vote
okay.
on it.
All right, so then, let's then go to the other one. I emailed them all out to you, and this would be the one Deputy Mayor had submitted. Did you want to speak to this?
Just basically what I was thinking when I penned this, I just put on the committee, so it was new to me, so I'm trying to think how this worked, but I've been seeing, one of the reasons I ran for town council is what seems to be a natural centralization of the Northwest Territories TLI. We're seeing that in either direct things like the college, indirect things like our airline. It wasn't meant, it just happened that the opportunity's there. But we're seeing things go to Yellowknife, and Fort Smith is, in our situation, losing, I feel. And so, got me thinking, like, is there a natural centralization occurring, or do we need a vision for the North that says we're a decentralized territory and we're gonna work hard to keep services in communities? So you could say a Yukon model versus a Nunavut model or somewhere in the middle. That's what led to this, was me just saying, if the NWTAC's role is to look at what all communities are dealing with and doing, it seemed like the natural body to do that kind of study. To look across the board and say, the territory's vision for 10 years out is that we're going to be a totally centralized territory with everything in Yellowknife, or 10 years out, it's going to be a decentralized territory where we have services in the communities. That's kind of what I was thinking. I may be way off base. It's my first attempt at doing one of these, but I bring it to you guys to say, does it resonate with you at all, and would you think it'd be something we should take forward?
Thank you. Any comments? Input? Councillor Quebec?
I think it needs to be brought to the attention of everybody. Well, the mayor, basically all the governments across the NWT and including Yellowknife, they need to be put on notice that if you look at the government's strategic priorities, they've always sort of softly talked about decentralization, but there's been no effort whatsoever made in most cases to the contrary. They have actively centralized services to Yellowknife. And I think, and this might be a good resolution to call them out on it, is say, like, look, you continue, even in this session of the Legislative Assembly, you've continued to attempt to centralize services. And an easy and prime example is you look at our men's corrections here in Fort Smith, where they've closed down the correction center here. Where are those inmates or potential clients going to go? They're not going to go to come here because it's closed. So they're going to Yellowknife or Hay River. And those seem to be, and Inuvik. I will always throw those three communities in as part of my conspiracy theory that the NWT is centralizing to those three communities. And I think part of it is when you look at the dynamics of the voting blocks in our Legislative Assembly, the majority of the MLAs that vote represent those three communities. A majority. And being one of the minority communities, we're losing out. So I think we need to continue to strongly emphasize the need for the government to actually, when they say in their priorities that one of their goals is to decentralize, that they actually once in a lifetime actually follow through on it.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else have input, comment? Okay. So then, why don't we, does this need to, I move that count family relations. Do we have to finish this, what's on the floor, or can we just, we don't?
Take them both as working.
Well, we have this on the floor, so I move that council determine the following in relation for the resolutions. Identify topics, we have that, work with administration to, we have these and we'll draft it. Submit the approved by 2020, or so we can email, or what do we do now?
So you don't necessarily have to settle on exactly what they're going to be right now. If you would like to meet, I think there was a meeting scheduled, but it just didn't quite work out with some absences. But I know the deadline's coming up quickly. But if you're able to schedule through email, figure out what might work, meet, and then kind of wordsmith it a little bit further. I'm here for the rest of this week. If there's availability to meet then, so I can help get that put together and then get those submitted on time. But you don't actually have to make a motion for moving with these specific ones. This motion was just to initiate the process to start thinking about getting those, and we can meet again.
I think that would be my motion.
Okay, Councilor Quebec?
Yeah, just actually on, rather than create another motion and everything else, I was going to just, we could amend this motion to say that just by title only, these are the two
Okay.
resolutions that we are bringing forward. And that doesn't preclude, you can still, as part of the AGM, bring motions to the floor at the AGM. So if we
Okay.
do have something that critical that does pop up between now and then, we're not precluded from bringing it forward.
So you want to identify the topics as priority for resolutions by title only of Economies of the North and the NTPC governance model reform? Okay, and so Adam, you moved that? You're okay with that change?
I do, yeah.
And then Len, you second, you're okay with that? All right, so, we'll set up a meeting with you two, so we can wordsmith it, okay?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? Okay, perfect. And so we'll set up that meeting just by email, and you guys can meet, so we can get it to the SAO
Yep.
to, for submission.
Send the instructions.
Okay, perfect. They will be sent. All right, so moving on the agenda, we have no declaration of financial interest. So council business. Oh wait, do you?
I think I may have, yes, there is a motion regarding the Northern Light Museum, somewhere in
Oh.
this. The Northern Light Museum and the Thabacha Leadership Council, I'll have to declare conflict in that.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Thank you, it's noted. All right, so moving on council business, if I can have someone move the first protective services meeting minutes?
I move the Protective Services Standing Committee minutes from December 3rd, 2024 be adopted as presented.
I'll second.
Any comments?
Not yet.
Yes?
I said not yet.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All in favor?
Thanks for the warning.
Yeah. Okay, so passed, it is carried. On to the next one.
I'll move the Protective Services Standing Committee minutes from January 7th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, perfect. Discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the minutes are carried. So on the next one.
Seems like a mic one.
Yeah, it was. I move that the mayor immediately contact NTPC seeking a full clarification and disclosure of the causes of the prolonged power outage in Fort Smith on January 3rd, 2025. In addition, the town of Fort Smith seeks an update regarding the timelines for the recommissioning process of the Tolson Hydro Plant upgrade project, including an approximate date of when the hydro facility will return to full functioning capacity. Furthermore, if the primary causes of the prolonged outage were related to distribution issues, what immediate steps will the NTPC undertake to rectify the conditions, and will NTPC consider moving their investment in the local distribution system upgrade project for completion of no later than 2027. This correspondence is to be copied to the minister responsible for NTPC, Minister Wozniak, and NWT Public Utilities Board.
So we can second it?
I'll second.
Councilor Benwell, actually beat you to it. Is there topic, discussion? Councilor Covet?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe some of this was answered in a letter received today. I think there are still points mainly regarding the distribution system, the upgrades to our distribution system, which are scheduled. I double-checked their website today. They've got 20 million capital budget over several years, but that will not begin until the 2026 year, and it's not due for completion till 2027, 2028. And if we look at their Power Corp's track record on significant projects, you look at the Tolson upgrade, the two big ones that jump out, and the Inuvik wind turbine, they're both more than a year behind schedule. So if we're looking at 2 to 3 years right now, realistically, I'd say we're probably looking 4 to 5 years before the upgrade would be completion. And it's having, there is impacts to the ability for our community to grow infrastructure-wise. We're at capacity. The Power Corp has told the community that any significant infrastructure, such as a proposed Smith Landing administration building and potentially a fire center, could present problems for the electrification of those systems under our current distribution system. So I think that issue still needs to be fully addressed, and the timelines that they're currently offering is putting an obtrusive barrier to our community growing and putting significant financial impacts to development.
Thank you.
So I'm prepared to help you draft a letter.
Perfect. I'll see you tomorrow. Any other comments? Okay. All in favor? Okay. Motion is carried. Next one here, please. Corporate services.
I move that the minutes from the Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting of January 7th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
A second.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions? Councillor Pivett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick note, within the minutes, we, under item D, which was the director's report, the director, we were talking about the current year budgeting process being a learning experience for much of the council, and there was a suggestion that for next year's budget cycle, that we would be, there should be a document in the August-September period was the terminology used. And I would just like to sort of seek, and administration come back at a later date on this, but I would like to see us or administration commit to having a draft budget for the 2026 year to us no later than the first week of October for deliberation and debating and things like that. Waiting till, it seems every year we're told, yes, we'll be doing it in September, October, and the middle of November is when we get a draft, and it's just, it puts unnecessary burdens on us making informed decisions, but as part of those decisions, a lot of questions are being asked, and it puts a whole bunch of additional pressures on administration to get back to us with answers in the timeframes that we're dealing with.
Okay. So noted then.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments, concerns on the minutes? Okay. All in favor? It has been adopted. On the next one?
I'll move that council direct administration to provide a briefing note on the implications and considerations regarding TLC assuming ownership of the Northern Lights, Northern Light
Culture
Museum.
Center.
Museum Culture Center, thank you.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. Just noted that Councillor Trevette left the room. And he's back. Yeah. Moving on.
I move the Community Services Standing Committee minutes of January 14, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Mike, a second.
Okay. Any discussion, question? Councillor Trevette?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think everything was quite well. I was pleased to read the the item regarding the Northern Life Museum and Cultural Center proposal. But one thing sort of jumped out at me saying, this is not the right wording. And it's the use of, we have a tendency when we're talking about the town and the other governments in the community, yes, there is a definite recognition of the Indigenous governments. They're there serving their memberships, doing a good job of it and everything else, and it's critical that they be recognized as Indigenous governments. I just do not like the term of the town being referred to as a non-Indigenous government. We are an inclusive. I would like to see, we represent everybody in our community. And when we say non-Indigenous government, that means it almost implies that we're not representing, in our case, over half of our community. So please, in the future, when we're referring to our government in context of with Indigenous governments, we are, maybe we should just be referring to them all as governments.
Municipal, we're a municipal government.
Yeah, we're a municipal government, so.
Thank you for that. It is so noted, and it will be for the record. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor? Okay, perfect. On the next one here.
I move the council approve the following actions in relation to the TLC Assembly. 1, engage with TLC partners. 2, form a working group. If TLC partners express support for the proposal, establish a working group consisting of administrative representatives from the town of Fort Smith and the TLC partners.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion?
Should it say something specifically that this is in relation to the transfer of ownership of the museum? Like if you just read this motion as standalone, you would say, what is it talking about? In
Okay.
regards to what? I think that needs to be included in there somehow.
All
I think
right,
that's a good point.
thank you. Do you want it, where do you want it to be?
We read the very last
Number
line,
one,
actually.
or,
I think the council approves the following actions with regards to the ownership transference of the NLMCC in relation to the, somewhere in that first
okay,
I
and
move
it's
part.
for the Northern Life Museum and Cultural Center. Okay,
And then we know what we're talking about.
so Len, you moved that, you agree with that change?
I agree with that.
And then
change.
Carl, you, yeah, okay, perfect, thank you for that, that's a good catch. Any other information, discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion carried, noted that Councillor Crevette abstained.
And he actually pushed away.
Yeah. All right, on to municipal services.
I move the minutes from the Municipal Services Standing Committee meeting on January 14th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. Discussion? Councillor Crevette. Man,
Good.
you're on it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just active tonight.
You are, yep.
Again, during the particular meeting under, there was item E, which was dealing with the briefing note regarding the pool shutdown. And I went into another one of my extended chats about the impacts of the brownouts and everything, and reference to the inability of the Power Corp's senior management to effectively run a Crown corporation. I want to make sure it's abundantly clear that I feel, and I believe the whole town and community feels, that the work and the efforts put in by the workers working on the ground, climbing the poles, in the bucket trucks, in the generating plants, their services are commendable and outstanding, given the situation that was there. And I just want to make it abundantly clear that we totally appreciate what they do as individual employees. Our criticisms is aimed at the corporation entity and its poor management.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? It is passed. Moving on.
I'll move that council approve the award of the contract to AAG Landscaping for the supply of chain link fence materials in the amount of $29,387.37.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion? Okay. All in favor? All in favor? Then did you
One abstain.
abstain? And, okay, Councillor Tucky abstained?
So voted.
Yeah. Perfect, motion carried. Moving on.
I move that council move in camera in accordance with the Cities, Towns and Villages Act, section 23, subparagraph 3, E, a matter still under consideration on which council has yet publicly announced a decision if discussion in public would likely prejudice the municipal corporation's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cox? Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Perfect. Okay, next one.
I'll move the mayor and council move out of an in-camera session.
I'll second.
Yeah, that wasn't for, this was for, yeah, this was for like a past meeting. Yeah. Seconder? Okay, carried. All in favor?
Careful how you second.
I know.
Jeez, okay. All right, so we're on to administration. So we have a briefing note in your package, appointment of an acting senior SAO from January 27th to January 31st. Did you want to speak to it or just ask if there's any questions, SAO?
Yeah, I mean, I can just give the senior administrative officer will be out of town next week. I will also be out of town, so there does exist a motion to put me as standing acting SAO whenever the SAO is out of town, but since we'll both be out of town, we're asking for a motion to appoint Andrew Grenier as the acting SAO from January 27th to January 31st.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion? Councillor Benoit?
I'm just wondering, does Andrew Grenier have any experience in this field?
SAO?
So I've hogged all the acting, I guess, is the problem. He hasn't, it'll be his first acting, but with the caveat that it comes in a week where the SAO is still accessible and still working during that week. So she'll be on a conference and is accessible to the staff in the community if needed.
What's that fellow's name that works here too?
Jim?
Jim, is Jim gonna be away too? Like, why can't he sit in there? He's quite knowledgeable in that field.
It's our contract, right?
I think that this came probably from direction from within the town, and this was determined who would be the best to do it at this short little time frame. SAO?
Yes, there is usually a discussion around whether someone is also willing to take that on, so that is taken into account.
Anyone else? All right. So I need someone to move this.
I move that council by motion appoint Andrew Grenier, Director of Municipal Services, as acting SAO for the period of the 27th to 31st of January 2025.
Must be January, they just missed January, yeah.
January.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? It has passed. Then in your package, you have a briefing note from a donation request from the Batch Dog Muncher Association. I don't know if you want to speak to this at all, Esio?
Yeah, so it was something that was in the previous year's budget as a budget line. In the briefing note, it explains just because there isn't a currently passed budget, to err on the side of caution, we'll make sure that it's agreed upon that this is an item that we'll still donate towards. I think it's just because we're operating outside of an approved budget right now.
Councilor Karsak?
Or I'm just gonna move it.
Oh, sure, go for it.
I move that the council formally approve the $2,500 funding allocation for the 2025 dog races in alignment with the January 2024 motion and direct administration to proceed with it, processing the donation.
Second.
Sure.
Okay, discussion? Councilor Cravette?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will continue down the path that I've constantly and diligently been following for the past 6 years. Is I fully support this. It is a great event. It brings people into our community. Economically, I think it's great. I really question, I've been asking for upwards of 6 years now that we revisit our donation policy on how we deal with contributions like this. I've made it abundantly clear in all my other previous comments that I oppose the town providing funding to organizations for potential use as cash prizes. Part of the process that we've used for previous donation requests from the dog mushers is a commitment from them that it would be used for paying for the equipment to drag the track and things like this. That the funding from the town would not explicitly be used to offset any cash prizes that are offered for this event. I don't think it's
Which is what they say.
in our interest in protecting the taxpayers' investment and contributions. Well, it's not contributions, we demand that you give us money. And I don't think it's the best use of our money to give it to an organization to give away as a cash prize. I fully support it in assisting them in things like the cost of dragging the track, which in the past is a good portion of that 2,500 went to that, and other expenses like bibs for the racers and stuff like that. I fully support, but make it abundantly clear that as a council, mayor and council, that we should not advocate that funding from us be in any way associated with a cash prize.
Thank you. Did you want to speak, Deputy Mayor?
Just the fourth paragraph of their letter specifically states what the funding's for. and it's for grooming of trails, purchasing bibs and old trophies and posters, so your concerns are addressed to me by the letter. I don't know how we follow up and make sure they honor that, but they've been clear in their request. So, but it's a good point to raise, yeah. We shouldn't be giving for cash prizes.
Thank you. Any other Councilor Cox?
Thank you. I'm gonna laugh at myself as I say this, because I've seen how many council meetings where it's been said and it's still under development, but just the need for the donation policy and I know it makes sense to do the status quo for now, but once we get through the budget and we see what the budget looks like and figure out where those line items are, and whether we need to sit down and figure out how we're gonna do it going forward to make sure that it's fair for everybody.
Thank you. Yeah. Councilor Cravette, you're going to speak to that? Okay. Is there any other comments, questions, discussion? Okay, so then the motion on the floor, all in favor? Okay, so passed. Oh, there was one more. Did we not have? Yes.
Me.
Okay, yeah.
I have it here, I was waiting.
Okay. All right. There you go.
I move that council amend their standing committee meeting times to 6:30 and 7:30 respectively for the standing committees. Perfect.
I'll second.
Second, all right. Any discussion?
6:30 and 7:30.
6, because we have 2 meetings. One's protective and then community or corporate and then
Mhm.
municipal. So one starts at 6:30 and then when that one finishes, we start the other one.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just half an hour later.
Councillor Crevet?
Yes, I agree. I'd like to see the time pushed back to 6:30. We do have some of our councillors who do 9 to 5 work, and that 1 hour to get home, let the dog out, and try and get back here and grab something, just really trying. The second, we were sort of saying one it starts at 6:30, the other one at 7:30. I would like, and I don't know whether we can, the process, whether, because I checked the council procedures and things, and it doesn't specifically address the timing of our second meeting. If we advertise that we're doing a meeting at 6:30, and then the second one starts at 7:30, we wrap up in 15 minutes. I think we have an obligation to the public saying we're holding for example, the public services was advertised to start at 7. For us to start it at 6:30 or something like that, or whatever the time, is really, it troubles me, because we told the public we're having this meeting starting at a specific time, and if we started earlier, they may have had a reason to tune in for a specific subject matter in that meeting, and for us to start sooner than we publicly advertised concerns me. So I would like to see if we could say the first meeting starts at 6:30, the second one will commence immediately afterwards with a 5-minute break or something like that. Whether we're able to do that under the, I didn't see anything that says we can't do that under our current policies and bylaws, because they really need to be updated as well, but just that the public has, if we say we're going to start a meeting at a certain time, for us to start earlier is an injustice. It's not proper to the interest of the public that may have a specific interest in that meeting,
Okay,
starting at that time when we said it was.
thank you. Councillor Tucky?
Well, if we change our time, wouldn't there be a public notification to the council? Let's change the time from 7 to 6:30.
I think so. What,
We have a Facebook page and a weekly calendar, right?
for sure. I-
Changing from 6 till 6.
But it's the gap in
Yeah, so what the clarification is if we say we start our first meeting at 6:30, say we end early, and we start the other one right away at like 6:45. But if we posted that we don't start our meeting till 7:30, then the folks are waiting around at 7:30 to
Oh, I
tune in, won't see it, right? And so that's why he suggests that we just say, start at 6:30, and on the finishing of that, we'll start the next one just right after.
After a 5-minute break.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but we would be notifying the public. of the
We're obligated to.
7 to 9.
Just Adam and then.
Can we just change how this is added,
Yes.
so that instead it's like the Protective Services Standing Committee and Corporate Services Standing Committee start at 6:30 p.m.?
Mhm.
Rather than that.
Councillor Cox?
I was just wondering, I was under the impression for some reason, and I can't figure out why, that we said that the second meeting started at 7:30 to cap the time of the first meeting, just to kind of force us to get it done in an hour. But I wonder if that was just because there was talk of trying to get all 4 meetings done in one go for a little bit. And I see the value in keeping it on 2 different weeks, just to get more time to process everything.
Councillor Crevet?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Just for, within the current town council procedures policy, and it might be in the town bylaws, well, I didn't recall seeing it, but it's definitely in the policy, that our standing committee meetings are a maximum of 75 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, so can we change your motion?
Yeah, I'm open to an amendment to say that the meeting time shall begin at 6:30. Upon conclusion of the first meeting, there will be a 5-minute break, followed by the second meeting. And don't put a time in for the second meeting.
Perfect.
So put a time in for the first and include a 5-minute break.
Okay, and then who seconded that? Carl?
I think so.
Okay, perfect. All right, any more discussion? All in favor? Perfect. We peak now at 6:30 for the first Tuesdays. First 2 Tuesdays. Going on, we have no new bylaws or policies, no new appointments. So the next is the council, mayor and council board of representatives, and reaching out to the community on your contribution. So we'll just go, and I'll start with Councillor Tucky, and we'll move around the room.
Well, actually, I don't really have too much to say other than it was a tough month for Fort Smith losing people. I'd like to give my condolences to the Gordon Mercury family, the Jeremy Biscay Evans family, Pat Abraham's family, and Roberta McKinnon, who was actually a citizen from Yellowknife, who resided in the senior citizens home for the last 10 years. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims and the families as the town of Fort Smith gathers tonight to commemorate 1-year anniversary of the fatal crash of Northwestern Airlease 1 year ago today. And that is taking place at the Uncle Gabe's Friendship Center this evening. It's definitely a sad day for Fort Smith, and an event that no one should forget about. Thank you.
Councillor Cox.
Yeah, certainly, there are lots of condolences and hard times to be had. On a little bit of a more semi-positive note, I went to the pool on Saturday for the last swim, and it was really busy, lots of people there, but lots of positive comments and lots of appreciation of the pool, and I think it makes people really grateful for what we have, and we're all looking forward to getting it back. A little bigger and better. So, actually, and then one other thing that is probably worth mentioning to keep in our minds. On the radio this morning, I was listening, they had the interview about Fort Smith making it into one of the top 5 communities for fire risk, and I think it's a good reminder that there's still lots unburnt out there. Certainly saw it when some of us got up and flew around the area in 2023 after the fact. There's lots of burn, but there's lots of green still around. So we should keep that in our mind and focus on both town-wise and GNWT-wise. There's still lots of work to do, and there'll be lots of challenges, especially as we see going on down south. Once the insurance companies start catching on to that news, right, we need to show that we're being proactive. So, stuff to work forward to. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Condolences to all the families that have lost loved ones over the past month or more, and also I think we all need to show some appreciation, maybe light a candle or something once we get home in memory of the tragedy of last year. In regards to council business, there was none of the committees that I sit on met in the last month, so nothing to report on that end.
Thanks. Councillor Benoit?
Yeah, my heart is with all those who are hurting with the loss of their loved ones, and my prayers go out to them. And also to the families that are still hurting from the plane crash last year. And I haven't met with the museum yet. Our meeting is tomorrow, and so I don't really have anything to report right now.
I'll also echo the condolences and thoughts for those that have lost loved ones over the past bit of time, and also in memoriam of the 1-year anniversary of the plane crash. But I want to also join Councillor Corvette with my own little conspiracy theory. And I just want to raise something that I think should be raised with the Tabacha Leadership Council, and that is the replacement of the Health Leadership Council from elected representatives or appointed representatives to a public administrator. I have strong worries for our health center. I think it ties in with Yellowknife centralization. I think it's a way for them to just turn us into a nursing station as opposed to a health center. I've heard nothing with regards to our 24-bay long-term and assisted living facility. I think Yellowknife is actively or covertly, there's my conspiracy part of it, trying to undermine our health services. I think the TLC, and again, this is just my opinion, should strongly advocate for the return of health boards to the community and for Fort Smith not to remain as part of the super board that has no voice. I think we need to take back control, and I think we need to start looking after ourselves. That's just my bit. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted, my thoughts are with the first responders who a year later, there's probably a lot going through their minds, and particularly the Canadian Rangers, who were some of the first people on scene. I know there's some people who are deeply affected still, and so my thoughts are with them, and I hope if they need to talk to somebody, that there's somebody out there for them.
I'm still getting used to this role of deputy mayor, and my I guess somewhat comical observation this week is I just commented to somebody that the snow on McDougall was looking pretty tall, and the next day they were clearing it. It had nothing to do with my role as deputy mayor, for anybody watching. I have full accolades to the our maintenance people who are out there keeping our roads safe, because they had just reached that point where I made the comment, and they were right one step ahead of me, so well done. You drive down McDougall right now, it feels a lot safer than it did a week ago. It's a good job.
Okay. I'll just speak to a couple of things that folks have brought up. So on January 16th, TLC did meet with the COO of the health center here, and we raised the issue in regards to our regional wellness committee, and there was like the super board, which was on like territorial level. We still have our regional board. Diane Kroll is still the president of that board, but you're right, with the super board, or the big board that they have, it's been taken over by a public administrator now, and so we asked for, she's going to follow up with us and give us information on whether or not our voices are actually being heard, or what's happening with our concerns raised at our regional level or our local level. So she's going to definitely follow up with that. And then we met. We did have a bylaw review board on January 9th, but we decided to wait till after strategic planning, when we had some more guidance and some direction about what that looks like, what our priorities are. And so on January 23rd is actually the 1 year anniversary of the plane crash at 6:42 a.m. is when the plane crash went down. So there is a memorial being held at the Anglican Church at 6:30 p.m. and it's prayers, songs, and a candlelight vigil. And at 6:42 p.m. the bell will ring for those who pass. So if you want to go and need some support or want to show your support, they're at the Anglican Church at 6:30. And some happy things are snowboarding's back up and running, and so that hill, be mindful of the folks that are out there with their equipment for grooming. And so, just don't tear it up with your snowmobile or quad or whatever. Just, it costs a lot of money for them to get out there, and it's all volunteer run, and it's all fundraised to operate, so don't tear up the track, right? Like leave it as beautiful as it is, right? And Fort Smith Skating Club sent 14 skaters from our community to Yellowknife for the territorials. And so I think that was a really good accomplishment here. We had some really high achievers there who got some pretty good levels. It's levels, not goals. So now hockey, we had like a really active hockey as well for minor hockey. So we hosted events, and we've also sent out lots of teams that have been very successful. So those are really good kudos for our community organizations that are really engaged and, you know, offering services to our community. So I think that was it. Oh, yeah. No, that's it. I guess we move on. We have no proclamations.
I move that Mayor Ferguson and Councillor Bath be excused from the Protective Services Standing Committee meeting on January 7th, 2025.
I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor? Perfect, passed.
I move that Mayor Ferguson and Councillor Carashuk be excused from the Corporate Services Standing Committee, meeting December 3rd, 2024.
I'll second that for you.
Okay, thank you. Discussion, all in favor? Okay, passed.
I'll move that Councillor Karychuk and Deputy Mayor Keiser and Councillor Tucky be excused from the Community Services Standing Committee meeting on December 10th, 2024.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks. All discussion, all in favor? Okay. Oh, do you have discussion?
Wasn't Deputy Mayor Keiser there?
That was the Santa Claus booking that ran late, I think.
Oh, okay.
December 10th.
Sorry about that.
That was the first
Came in
one.
later.
I missed the first one, joined the second one.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All in favor? Okay, it is carried. Next one,
I move that Councillor Benwell and Councillor Bath be excused from the Municipal Services Standing Committee meeting on January 14th, 2025.
I'll second.
okay. Discussion, all in favor? All right, it is passed. Tonight's,
I move that Councillor Eaton be excused from the regular meeting of council on January 21st, 2025.
okay, Mike Keiser, second. All in favor? All right, it is passed. So the date of the next meetings are Protective Services meeting on February 4th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting to follow 5 minutes after the completion of that meeting. Community Services Standing Committee meeting, it will be on February 11th at 6:30 p.m. Municipal Services Standing Committee will follow that meeting after a 5-minute break. And the regular meeting of council will be February 18th at 7 p.m. So move to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn at 8:25.
Okay, perfect.
I'll second.
Len, Councillor Tucky, second. All in favor? Yay. There we go.